Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today, we're going back to ancient times, and we're going to be fighting, just you and me, mano a mano, in a duel. We're going to be trying to get our military might to the point where we have military supremacy over each other, and marching that military into the capital. Or we're going to be trying to develop different sciences and have scientific supremacy on each other. And we're each going to be building our own cities and buildings to try to reign at the end. We're talking about Seven Wonders Duel here. This is a standalone two-player game of Seven Wonders that just is coming out at Essen 2015. It's based heavily off the very popular game Seven Wonders, but it's a two-player version, has a lot of things the same, but has some things that are different. Is it better? Is it worse? Should you get it? Stick around, I'll show you. But first, let me show you how it's played. Seven Wonders Duel is played over 3 distinct ages, and each of these ages is going to have their own decks of cards that will be created into pyramids that you'll be drafting from. You're going to be having a tug-of-war of military might. You'll also be fighting over scientific supremacy, trying to get different types of science that are available to you. At the beginning of the game, you set up this military board here with the military in the middle, and we have some tokens that get set up here, and there's 5 random progress tokens that get placed out here that people can grab. But just to show you, there's a total of 10 that come in the game, so every time you play this will be a random 5 out of these 10. Now each player also gets 7 coins, and I want to point out that these coins aren't perfectly round. They actually are purposely made to look like old coins that are imperfect, just another step in quality by Repost Productions and Asmodee. There's actually 12 different wonders that come in the game. Now you're only going to use 8 of these per game, so again, another random setup thing where every game will be different because only 8 of these are used. Now when taking wonders at the beginning of the game, the first player will choose any one of these first 4 random ones that were drawn, so maybe they choose this one. The next player will get to choose 2. Maybe he chooses this one, and then the first player gets this last one again. You then randomly take 4 more random wonders out there. Whoever was second player during the first set of the draft is the first player now. They take 1, the other player takes any 2, and then the last player takes 1. So everybody will have 4 wonders. And they just get lined up in a column on each player's side. Then we look at each of the 3 age decks, and we throw out randomly 3 cards of each into the box without looking, and then we add 3 cards from the guild deck to the age 3 deck, and we shuffle them up, and we get all those decks ready for the 3 ages of the game. Now using that first age deck, you have the 20 cards that are left, and you set up this pyramid where there's face up, face down, face up, face down, face up cards like this, and that sets up the age. Then starting with the first player, what they do is they access one of these cards. You can only access a card that's uncovered, so at the beginning of the game it's all of these here that are uncovered, but once some of these get uncovered, then you could take any one of these or one of these that is now uncovered. So let's talk about what some of these cards do. The gray cards are manufactured goods. Essentially, these give you glass from the glassworks, or from the press we get some paper. Those will help you build some buildings later. And if you want one of these, you would essentially simply put a cost. In this case, it would be 1 here or here. You can pick one of these things. And if I picked one of these, you could do 3 things with a card. Let's just go with the basic one first. Is you take this card and you just put it in front of you, and this will be used to buy things later. And that would be my turn. It would then go to my next player's turn. Now the brown buildings, the brown cards are basically raw materials. This is like stone from the clay pit, and wood and lumber and things like that. And these also allow you to build other things. For example, this is a clay, and this military card here requires some wood. But if it was clay, once I had bought this, I'd be able to get this for free because I already have this resource. So these are sort of resource cards. These military cards will help us when tugging a war for military. So for example, if I had got this card by using some lumber, I could get that military, and because it has 1 shield, I would push it 1 spot closer to my opponent's way. And of course, if this gets all the way to the end here, the game's over immediately and I would win. So, and if the game ended, let's see, now I would get 2 points. If it goes into one of these zones, this player has to discard 2 coins, and if it ended here, I'd get 5 points. If I move up here, my opponent would have to discard 5 coins, and if it stayed there at the end of the game, I'd have 10 points. So that's how military works in this game. You'll also recognize this has a horseshoe. It's from the stable. This is important because what this means is later on in a different age, remember we're in the first age now, but later on in the future, there's a card from the second age that will allow you that if you have this stable from before, you actually get to get this card for free. You don't have to pay these extra resources to get it. So you can chain and link cards together. Now the blue cards are civilian buildings. For example, we have the baths or the theater here. And when you build them, for paying for stone here, you actually get points. So these will just be straight up points at the end of the game, but also these ones have some linking to some future cards as well. Now science is interesting because obviously in this case we're paying paper to get it. Now science there allows us to do some special things. For example, here's the card I just got. Now, later on in a future age, like age 2, I might get another one with an identical symbol. Anytime I have 2 identical science symbols, I can take any one of the available progress tokens. And these do different things. Remember, these are random set up at the beginning of the game. This gives me 3 points for every one of these tokens I have at the end of the game. Or my blue cards might cost me less resources. Or after I conduct a wonder, I can take another turn. Or this is worth $6 and 4 points at the end of the game. Or 7 points at the end of the game. And those are random and cool things that you can do with this. Now, if at the end of the game, you actually have 6 of the 7 different scientific icons, and that might look something like this, you automatically win the game for scientific supremacy. And the yellow buildings are commercial buildings, so they most of the time get you money, or they get you better trading for resources. Which now brings me to another point, is all up until now we've been taking cards and actually using it, paying for it, and then using it for what it's used for. There's 2 other things you can do with a card. Instead of building this and using it as a brick resource, I can just face down and discard it to get 2 coins. Plus, I will get 1 coin for every yellow building in my city. So I would have gotten 4 coins. 2, 3, and 4. All I had to do is discard this face down into a discard pile, which can be looked at by anybody at any time. And the third possibility that you can do with a card, instead of using it, instead of discarding it for money, you can actually put it face down and build a wonder, assuming you can build it. For example, the Sphinx here, you would need to use 2 glass, a stone, and a clay. And what this does is it gets you 6 points at the end of the game and allows you to take another turn right away. Where if you did this one, it's 12 coins and you could play again right away. If you had built this one, you get to discard a gray card of an opponent, and then you get to move up a military one and get 3 points at the end of the game. This one is you get to use any one of these resources to build other things for free, and you get 4 points at the end of the game. They all do sort of different things like that. Now, many times you'll be trying to get stuff, like you'll be trying to build the stable, but you have no wood. Well, what do? You can trade. So for example, if I want this for every resource that I don't have that I want to use, I pay 2 coins to the bank, and then I'm also going to spend 1 for each of these icons that my opponent has. So in this case, I was trading for this card. Let's say this was my opponent's, this was on my opponent's side. He has 2 of those, so I'd have to pay $2 to the bank, plus another 2, not to him, but also to the bank. And this is only for these on brown or gray cards there. Now, if this thing required 2 wood, wow, that'd be 4 to the bank and 4 more to the bank because of each of these. So that would have been $8 I would have had to have paid if this thing that I wanted had 2 woods, I had none, and my opponents had 2. Now, when taking cards, once something becomes accessible, let's say I did this one, now that this one is accessible, it must be flipped before the next player's turn, and that's how it goes. And this is going to continue until all the cards from this age have been used up. The cool thing is the second age, we use these blue cards with the 2s on them, but the pyramid is set up completely different. It's an upside down pyramid. Then after that age, we go to age 3, which uses these purple cards, and it's again even different. So the game changes each age. The person who starts the age is the one who's at the weaker military power, or if it's tied, it's the one who just played last. And remember, in the third age, we mix in these guild cards. This is the purple type. Some of them have end game rewards, like this one is at the end of the game. Whatever person built the most wonders, you get 2 points per wonder they built. This one is at the end of the game. Whatever person has the most coins, you get 1 point for every 3 coins. And some of them are in the middle of the game. So when's this constructed, you get 1 coin for each blue card in the city who has the most blue cards at the time, and it's worth a point at the end of the game. So they do certain things like that. Those are the guild cards. Now remember, the game can end before the ages are over. If either player moves the military all the way to the other side, it ends immediately. Or if, as I mentioned, you get 6 of the unique science, it ends immediately. But if not, at the end of the age 3, we go to final scoring. And the scoring comes with a pad here. So essentially, from all of these 4 colors, blue, green, yellow, and purple, many of these had points that you may have seen throughout the game, and you add up all those points that are in your city from all those different numbers and put them into certain numbers there. Of course, some of the wonders also have points that you'll be scoring, and you'll put them there. We have these progress tokens, and as you got those, some of those will be worth points. You put those there, and 3 coins equals 1 point. We get those there. Of course, we also go military. If it ended here, the player on this side would get 5 points or 10 points, depending on where this thing is. And you add them up, and that's who's the winner. If someone won by immediate military or science supremacy, you would just do a check mark, and that would be it. That's how you play 7 Wonders Duel. Now, if you're watching this, you are in one of 2 camps. You've either played 7 Wonders before, or you have not. Now, let me just start off by saying that this is designed by Antoine Bauza, who did the original 7 Wonders, but also brought on Bruno Cathala to do this. Bruno is known as my favorite designer. He is just the master at 2-player games, and it's amazing how these two work together. Now, this was my #1 most anticipated game at Essen. I just did a top 10 list earlier this week of this, and this was my #1. You can see that video by clicking just right over there if you're interested to see what the rest of the 9 games were. But actually, Bruno showed me a prototype of this in 2014 Gen Con at dinner. He showed me a 2-player version of 7 Wonders, and I couldn't believe it. And it's taken this long to come out, but man, it's worth the wait. So those people that have not played 7 Wonders before, you're looking for a 2-player game. Well, if you're used to lighter games, the best 2-player lighter games that I know of are Lost Cities, the card game, and Jaipur, and Pinata, which was also called Balloon Cup. If you're used to those light type of games and you're looking for another a deeper experience for a 2-player game, this is a good place to look. But be warned that it does have a lot more going on than those other games. There's a lot of iconography to learn. If you've never played 7 Wonders before, the learning curve might be definitely steeper than it would have been to learn Lost Cities or Jaipur per se. But if you're ready for something meatier, this is a great game to sort of sink your teeth in and take that next step into heavier games with having 2 players, but still be quick. Now, on to you that have played 7 Wonders. This game absolutely amazed me. How do you take a game that is so popular and the main mechanism is drafting, yet you take that main mechanism out of the game and it still feels like 7 Wonders, yet there's so many differences that it's amazing. The differences they're not just subtle differences. I mean, you're not drafting, so you're pulling off these different pyramids. It's a brilliant idea that all the pyramids are different from each other in each age. The first one has a lot of things you can see right on the first row, so you can see what's going on there. Second one has it inverted. The third one has this cool different shape that kind of halfway through kind of locks up by 2 cards. And the decision-making process, even though you're thinking 7 Wonders and you're thinking of getting resources and paying for things and getting your wonders done and building up this engine and getting cards that will link to other cards and it's all the same, it's like the decisions are different and new and fresh. For example, it's very much more spatial because you're pulling off those pyramids. So a lot of times you're looking at these cards and you're going, if I pull this card that I really want, it's going to open up 2 cards to my opponent. And he's really killing me in military right now, and I know there's a few left here. If I pull up these militaries, he's gonna make me throw away 5 coins. He could possibly end the game soon if I do this. And the timing of this is really cool. And like you're looking at a bunch of these cards and you're figuring out the puzzle, you go, if I take this, then he'll take this, then he'll get stuck with this, then I can take this. And then you're working with these things, and a lot of those wonders allow you to do turns twice in a row. So you're like, okay, I've got this timing element of when to do the wonder, and it's like, okay, if I do the wonder right now, I'll get that second turn, which will allow me to get this. Sometimes you can pull some of them together. It's just the whole timing of your turns is super important, and trying to figure out when the right time to get those right cards, and it really brings another level to this game. Now the military. It's interesting that if you move the military all the way, you'll gain as many points at the end of the game as you would for beating one of your neighbors all the time in every 3 ages in the first game. But that pull and push of the game could possibly end right away with military science, I think is brilliant. Now, it's not going to happen all the time. It probably won't happen probably less than 50% of the time that one of those will happen, maybe from what we've seen. It does happen though. Actually, our first game, I got beat by military, and it's one of those things where it's like, it's got that pressure luck element where it's like, I really need this card, but if I flip this, is it going to be military? Oh, phew. And that pressure luck element adds a lot to this. So yeah, that push and pull, and even though it won't happen a lot, that military will end the game, the fact that it can happen, and it does happen, and the threat of that really makes you, if you're fighting against military, you really got to watch out for it. It's like, oh man, I gotta spend a whole turn just to waste and trash this military card, or get it and pull me back a little bit so I don't lose more coins. And it's like, it's almost a disturbance to you where somebody could just focus on this, and by the time they get to the 3 ages, there's a lot of those cards with the 2 and the 3 shields. And it's like, if someone really goes after that, they could, it doesn't matter how many points you're getting, it doesn't matter how many wonders you've got, it doesn't matter how many points you've got in those blue buildings, like, it's all gonna be for naught if they beat you with military. Same thing for the science. The science was one of the complaints from a lot of people in the original game, is that they thought it was too powerful. If nobody policed somebody, they could just run away with it. But in here, it's almost like it was opposite. The science wasn't as powerful. Sure, if you get 2 of them, you get one of those really cool special abilities. And if you can get 6 of those unique ones, and there's 7 in the game, but the 7th one is like one of those progress tokens, so it's really hard to get either 6 or kill someone in military, but if you really focus on it, it can happen, and that threat really opens up a lot of paranoia, a lot of interesting decision making that really makes this awesome. So in the end, I can't believe, I think I actually like this game better than original 7 Wonders. And that's hard for me to say because I really do like that game. But it's like, it gives me everything that I got from that. Sure, I don't have the neighbor thing going on, but it's like, yeah, okay, I lose a little bit of that, but I have the same type of feeling, and yet they bring these new elements into it. And the timing really grabbed me. I really love that puzzly aspect of when am I going to pull which card, when am I going to do my wonders. I was really impressed with this. This is an excellent, excellent thing. Now, I have this as number 1 on my list, and I gotta say, did it meet my expectations? Almost. I mean, it's really hard to be like the best game of the year. It's not for me, but it's very good. It is excellent, and I don't know how you take a game, pull that drafting out, but it's still a very solid game. So if you're looking for that 7 Wonders feeling, but you often play with 2 players, or you want different challenges, and you could see even expansions being added to this, man. You could add leaders to this. You add all the things that are now there in this 2-player game. Wow, this thing could get legs as well. So I am more than impressed with this. Antoine Baza, Bruno Cathala, wow, they have really done a good job here. It's an excellent game. If you like 7 Wonders, you'll probably love this. If you've never played 7 Wonders before, just know that you're getting to something deeper than some of those lighter games. If you like deep games and you're looking for a 2-player, this is excellent. That's 7 Wonders Duel.